Hello everybody, welcome to my How to Get the Fundamentals of Python Without 10 Hours Data Types edition. So today I'm not here to give you a 10-hour course on how to be an absolute expert on Python. No, today I'm here to give you the absolute fundamentals and ideas that you will come across as you code and learn about Python in a meaningful and probably fun way, hopefully, right? And today I'll be talking about two main points, which are the primitive data types as well as the collection data types. So without confusing you with what these jargons even mean, I'm gonna just jump right in and tell you what they are. Primitive data types. So why do we call them primitive? Well, because they are the basic building blocks of coding, right, of the data types. So think back to the ancient times where people thought nature was made up of fire, earth, water, wind, right? It's that, but code. And when we talk about primitive data types, at least within the scope of Python, there are four main primitive data types. So there are the strings, there are the booleans, there are the integers, and there are the floats. So I'm gonna break down what they are in the simplest possible manner, and sometimes I'll give you an extra bonus, an analogy. So let's begin with what a string is. So string is basically another word for textual data, right? You could think of your text messages, you could think of your sentences, you could think of, random alphabets and characters jumbled together, right? And that would still be considered a string. That is what a string is. It's not anything fancy, right? It's not your actual string, it's just textual data. Moving on, we have the booleans. What are booleans? Again, another fancy jargon. Booleans are what signifies the duality of something, right? So it can be go, it could be stop, it could be yes, it could be no, it could be 1, it could be 0. It's always the duality of something, and most of the times coders use them as a flag, right? Which is go or stop. Next up, we have integers. And integers might be one of the simplest things because they are simply whole numbers. And on the other side, you have floats. What are floats? Floats are floating point numbers, or your decimal point numbers. 10.1, 3.1, minus 0.12357, whatever the number is. Collection data types. Now, moving on to collection data types, as the name may have alluded to you, they are simply containers, right? Think of them as boxes that hold your data, and they come in all shapes and forms, right? You have your cabinets, you have your bags, you have your wallets. They all store something, but for a different reason, and different ways of how they store them, of course. For within Python, for built-in data types, there are four main collection data types. They would be the list, sets, tuples, and dictionaries. So let's begin with list. So what exactly are lists? Well, they are the simplest data collection type that, probably exists. In fact, the more advanced ones that you'll meet in the future are built using lists, or they can be at least. Think of them as your generic cardboard box. Almost anything can be stored inside of your cardboard box. Moving on to tuples. So tuples are basically an immutable form of a list. And what I mean by that, think of it as applying superglue to the items that you put inside your cardboard box. For whatever reason that might be, your items are stuck there within the card box. You can see it, and you know what it is, you know what's inside it, but you can't change it, right? Because it's basically impossible to take out because of the super glue. Moving on to sets. What are sets? Well, if you've done math for a little while, you might have come across them. You have your Venn diagrams, and what sets are, again, if I had to give an analogy, it would be like an artist palette. You could have many different colors on the artist palette, right? You get a red, blue, green, yellow, whatever. No matter how much more of the color of the paint that you'd squeeze out, right, onto the palette, right, there would still only be 4 colors. That's what a set is. If your set, in math terms, if you have 1 and 2, and in coding, if you try to add more of, let's say 1, try to add more 1 into sets, what happens? It's still only 1 and 2, right? It only displays the first instance of it. Now, finally, let's move on to dictionaries. So what are dictionaries? Dictionaries look really similar to sets, except that they operate on a key value basis. So what does that mean? So if you want to use back the example of the artist palette, red, blue, green, yellow, this time the key would be the color, red, blue, green, yellow, and the value itself would be, let's say, the volume of paint that you squeeze onto the palette. On this palette itself, I have red, I have 10 milliliters, I have yellow, yes, 30 milliliters, I have green 5 milliliters, I have blue, I have 100 milliliters because like I squeezed like a bunch, the whole tube out. That's what a dictionary is. It operates on a key value basis. In fact, some people call it a multi-set as well, right? That's another terminology if, just an extra bonus for you. So that brings us to the end of this video, and I hope that you found this educational or fun or amusing in some way, right? I hope my analogies have found some sort of resonance and drawn a really abstract concept into something simpler and more real to life. If you like this kind of video, leave a like. If you want to subscribe, and if you think that this video can be improved, please feel free to leave a comment, and feel free to be straightforward and as brutally honest as you can be. I strive to provide you as much value as I can, because the more I learn, the better I become, the better the entertainment and educational value that I can serve you. If you're free, if you're into that, feel free to do that. And yeah, that'll be about it. Thank you and bye.